What's the dirtiest word in decorating? Listen in to find out. Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks. I'm Kelly Wilkness, and I am here with Anita Joyce, and this is episode 322. Fresh budget decorating ideas. So what's the dirtiest word in decorating? Budget. Nobody likes it. Everybody's got one. But I think you can think about it in a different way. And we'll talk about that today. And we're also going to give you some really great ideas of new ways to freshen up your decorating on a budget. And we've got some crushes and some other great things coming your way. So I'm here to get started.
Well, we don't really love budgets, but, they're a reality. And so I think it's just something we have to work around. And you and I are used to working around them.
Yeah. And, the thing is, just like everything in life, it's really the way you look at it. It's your perspective, right? So if you think about the word budget, we say it's the dirtiest word in decorating because it's just not a nice word. It's a limiting word, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't think about it like a budget, if you think about, oh, I'm going to be smart in my decorating. I'm going to be creative in my decorating. I'm going to enjoy the thrill of a deal. I'm going to get the best value. I'm going to put my money where it counts and save elsewhere. If you think about it in those positive ways and put that positive spin on it, and that's your perspective when you're approaching your budget, then it feels better, doesn't it?
Of course. And you brought up something very important, and I find that this happens over and over again. It's the rule of budget decorating. It forces you to be creative. It's, necessity is the mother of invention, and a budget is the mother of creativity. If you have a budget, you have to be creative. It just forces you to really consider some ideas that you might not have thought of. And I think that's when I really get my best ideas. And that's when I see some of the best ideas out there in other blogs and other places. So it's not all bad.
Yeah, I so agree. I mean, I almost, if I had a limitless budget, I think I would just even sort of make
You'd
one
get
up.
lazy.
Well, I think I would make one up because I think it does force you to, I would say, oh, well, I really want to buy a yacht. So I better, really just get subway tile, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would force myself to work within certain confines. And by extension, this is why I enjoy renovating, transforming, restoring already existing houses, particularly old houses, rather than a new build. I've done a new build, and while I enjoyed it, it's almost like the universe was too big. You could do anything. So why not, make more square footage, or why not just do it this way, or why do it that way? And so it was kind of, in the vastness of it, it was harder, but it was so much easier because you weren't forced to be creative. So here's if you have an older house and it's like, oh, well, this is the floor plan, and I can't take the wall down, or so how am I going to make this work? Or, which wall do I take down to make the kitchen bigger within the confines of the footprint? These sorts of things. So that's kind of the way I think about a budget. Just like you're saying, it's a bit of a challenge. And so it forces your creativity to really kick into high gear. And so I think it's kind of fun, actually.
All right, well, let's get started. And one of my favorite tips is to go to thrift stores and flea markets to find some vintage furniture. Right now, we've got the Round Top Antique Show going on, which is a great place to go find some nice things. So that's one thing that you can do, is to go to, and vintage often, a vintage piece of furniture is often cheaper than something new. It might need to be painted or something, but, I think that's a great way to go. So that's my first tip. How about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of my house is thrifted or definitely vintage or hand-me-downs or something like that. A tip with respect to that, and really any type of home decor or restoration shopping that you'll be doing, is familiarize yourself with what things cost, because you
Oh,
don't
great
know.
idea.
Yeah. You don't know if you're getting a good deal or if it's a smart buy or whether it's the best value for your money if you really don't know what it should cost in the open market. So you can apply this to vintage pieces, or I see, just even take a simple piece of decor, transferware plates or something like that. You can even within the same flea market have wildly different prices for a very similar item. So you have to understand what the value is. And this can be applied to tile. This can be applied to flooring, any type of item that you might be adding. It could also be applied to work being done at your house. So whether it's an item, search online, go to home renovation places, go to vintage places, go wherever this item is that you're interested in, and just look around. And so basically do your, on-site sort of research it online as well. And then with that, of course, you have to take in consideration freight and delivery and shipping and all that stuff. And with respect to labor, work being done, get a number of estimates. I just got an estimate for some new clients, and they want to do their garage over into sort of a family room, very similar to what I did here, but no bathroom, no laundry room, really pretty simple. I almost passed out when I got this estimate from this new person who I had heard did great work. Well, it's great that he does great work, but I mean, really, it's putting up some sheetrock and kind of some molding and doing some insulation work. I almost passed out with what this guy's estimate was. But If I didn't know that, if this was my first rodeo, I would have been like, okay, well then I guess, we can't go on vacation this year, or I guess, this family can't get the windows we were talking about doing, but it should not cost what this man's asking. But they wouldn't know that. I know that because I've done it before and I've done my research. So be the person that's done the research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people ask me all the time, what should this piece of furniture cost? And it's hard for me to answer because it really does depend on your particular area. And yes, pricing on furniture varies wildly depending on what country you're in, or if you're in the US, what state you're in, what regional area you're in. It varies a lot what's going to be available. It's supply and demand. I mean, at the end of the day, supply and demand, and the supply and demand varies differently depending on where you live. So that is something to keep in mind. And what you mentioned, Kelly, about doing some research before you're hiring someone, absolutely get a couple of estimates. Price isn't the only thing. I would definitely make sure that the person has very good references. And I like looking on Nextdoor because these are people that are your neighbors. Because the Google reviews are great, but they can be cooked. People can put up fake reviews, but on Nextdoor, it has to be someone in your area or they can't post. So, I like checking on Nextdoor. And then if they have references, it's always good to call them and ask lots of questions. I mean, before I chose my builder, I called every one of his references and we had a long chat, and I called his banker too. So,
wow.
I mean, oh yeah. I called everybody.
Wow. His banker. That's so
well, he gave me the reference. So of course I called. So yeah, no, he was great. He was great. I'm so glad I did my research because he was a fabulous builder and I had confidence about that going in from the beginning. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Okay. So on to the next tip is to buy prints on eBay or Etsy, frame them yourself, and then you're going to have some better pricing on your wall art. Another thing, if you're looking for artwork, is to listen to our episode 315, which we'd be decoratingtipsandtricks.com/315. And we had a lot of budget wall art ideas there in that particular episode. So that's another great place to go.
Oh yeah, that one was chock full.
It was.
Okay, just another sort of blanket thought to think about when you're talking about budget decorating and really getting the most value. Having a budget is not about being cheap. Mm-hmm. So think about that. I mean, you don't want to buy the cheap version of what you really want. If you really can't afford what you really, really want, think of a creative way to do something different don't just, if you, like, I guess I'm saying, like, if you can't get the marble that you really want, that maybe don't go with the laminate. Do something completely different. Maybe do a butcher block, or bring in an old piece of furniture, and you could even put a piece of glass on it or something like that. Like, do something out of the box. Don't try not to choose the less than version of what you really want, because I think you'll never really be happy, because it's going to kind of be like what you really want, but it's not going to be the thing you really want. So when you look at it, it's like, close but no cigar comes to mind, kind of thing. So my thought would be just change it up completely. Try to think of a very different way to approach the same item, whether it be a piece of decor or whether it be some, functional piece of your house.
Well, what about this? How about just focusing on one investment piece per year? And then once you've bought that, then, usually people can afford one piece per year. And then once you've bought that, then you're just going to wait another year. So one thing is, yes, you could go with something cheaper, but the other thing is you can delay it. So I think if you space out these big ticket item purchases, I think you'll be able to afford more than you think you can.
That's a great tip. And then you're building literally and figuratively, like you're building on your home. So you're building on this foundation of things that you love. If you start with, say, you're going to do the floor and you really want the barn scraped, yada, yada, wood from France or whatever. So do that and then wait and live with the other things. I think that's a great tip, because, 5 years goes by pretty fast and you'll have 5 fabulous things, 5 fabulous elements to your home.
Right. Okay. And here's something absolutely no cost. Try going in some of your rooms and just pulling the furniture away from the wall and see how that looks, because that's something that can really change the look of a room without spending a dime.
Yeah. Pulling it away and rearrange it. Pulling away is such a great idea, and it breathes new life into the room. But if you really feel like you're hankered to change, rearrange the furniture.
Oh, great idea. In fact, let me build on that, or rearrange your bookcases or your cabinets. What's in them? Just take it all out. You've suggested this several times, Kelly.
Yeah.
Take it all out and then start from scratch as you're putting it back in. And maybe don't put back as much as was in there before, and be a little more selective.
I thought you were going to say that. Just go, and that's what I thought you were going to say when you pull away from the wall, which is a great tip too. But Anita always talks about, take something away. Maybe you've just got too much stuff in there. And it's kind of like you think, oh, that's undecorating, but that is decorating too, because that's
decluttering.
Yes. But it's adding this.
You're adding
space.
Air. You're adding air. You're adding blank spaces. I mean, you need some emptiness in, you need your eye to rest in places in the room. If the eye doesn't have a place to rest, I think it starts feeling chaotic and stressful.
Yes, I think so too. Okay, so I've been doing these like kind of bigger perspective thoughts. Now I'm going to give you some of my getting to more specifics. The peel and stick tile from Aspect Tile. Probably some other companies make it too, but this is what I used. I put that in my laundry room. I had boxes of it, and we were actually given it. I don't know if you got that, but one year when
I did
at the Haven blogging. Okay, so I got that. They were nice enough to send it to me, and I put it with all the other things that were going to go in my laundry room, and it sat for a year and a half or more before we even got to start the whole project, and it's really just been completed. So I have a YouTube video on my laundry room that I'll link here. The peel and stick tile is fantastic. I got the brushed gold, and it's kind of like a honeycomb shape. They even have little edging, in the same material. It looks fantastic. And as someone commented on my video, they said it adds that little bit of bling that you love. And it's so true. It's beautiful. And they have different kinds. They have stone and they have glass and all this kind of stuff. Now mine went on sheetrock, and just, no special thing had to be done to the sheetrock. You just literally peel it off. It's like putting a sticker on. I mean, you have to map it out and be purposeful, but you just stick it on. It's no big deal. And I'm wondering if you could even go over a pre-existing backsplash if it wasn't bumpy or raised and it was pretty flat, you probably could go right over it. So you would have to look into it a little bit more on their site and find out whether or not you could do that. But hey, that was so inexpensive. And if you had something you didn't like and you didn't need to remove that, and you could just put this on top of it, it would be significant savings. I mean, right in line with the budget.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that sounds great. Old books. I think they're a great thing to add to your house, and they add so much detail. And then another thing going along with old books are old bottles and empty cloches. You don't even have to have anything in the cloche. But I love the big demijohn bottles, but even smaller ones. And I love the vintage ones, but new ones look great too. Mm-hmm. It's such a nice thing that goes with about any decorating style. Often they're clear glass. So it's not something that's going to only go with certain colors or certain decorating styles. I love all three of them: the books, the bottles, and the cloches.
Yeah, great tip. And adding on to that is glass containers. They are prolific at any of your thrift stores. Look in that aisle. Sometimes I just sort of gloss that over. I don't even go over there, but have a look. Even if you got 3 glass cylinders of 3 different heights, came home, washed them up, you could put green apples in one. You could put, I don't know, even like dried beans in another or something. You could put moss balls, willow balls, sand with a little faux succulent. You could do anything in those. Starfish. You could put Christmas balls for Christmas time. And those 3 items together can create a little vignette on their own. Or maybe you put one on these books that Anita's talking about, give it a little riser, fill it with something interesting, something seasonal, something that means something to you. That could be such a great look.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And here's another idea, and that is to keep you the color palette of your home consistent throughout all of the rooms. And when you do that, then as you're shopping your house, as you're moving things around, something that's in one room is going to work in another room. And I do this, for example, I just bought some artwork for one room and I moved it to another room, and then that artwork got moved to another room. I had new artwork in 4 rooms, but I only bought it one piece for one room. But because the look is feel is very similar from room to room, I was able to do all this rotating. And I do that with chairs as well, but you can't do that if you have a very different style or color in the different rooms.
Oh, yeah, that's a great tip of yours. And that is such great budget decorating and so smart. I love being able to do that. I can do that too. And it changes the look of the room so much depending on what you're moving around. Harkening back to the books, a great place to get discount books, obviously thrift stores, things like that. But it's a really nice place to get good books is oftentimes your local library will have a little secondhand bookshop associated with it. I know the ones in the little towns that I'm in and the surrounding towns all have those. And they, even if they don't have a program for an actual bookshop or an area for an actual bookshop, they may have book sales a couple of times a year. In fact, remember, Anita, I went to that one in the summer. Boy, I got so many wonderful books. And it was maybe 3 towns over, and I drove over and it was the afternoon, and there were these lovely older people that were the volunteers. I had such a nice time, and they had all kinds of books from coffee table, cookbooks, things, and most of them are in really great shape. They either don't make it to the library or they have duplicates or something like that. So look out for those. If your local library doesn't have a shop, maybe give them a call. Say, do you have a book sale? Put it in your calendar. I just got a stack of decorating books that were like $2 each.
Oh, stop it. Those can be so expensive.
Exactly. And some of them are outdated. I got one Bunny Williams one, which, is timeless. And I can't remember the names of the other ones, but they just looked good to me. And even if it's cheaper than a magazine and you're getting a hardcover book, and then when I'm done
magazines are like $5, $6, $7 now.
Oh my gosh. dude, sometimes you go to the grocery store, the magazines are $15.99, $12.99.
Right.
I'm like, oh,
Right.
unless I'm in it, I'm not buying it.
I know. But then if you're in it, they send you one anyway. So you're good.
Well, that's true. That's true. But sometimes you maybe want to get more, like one for your mom or something.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But the books, yeah. And then what I do is if it's not going to be a keeper book, I look through it and it's like, okay, got what I needed. Then I just donate it back.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And then they can recycle it and sell it to somebody else. Okay. How about this idea? Let's say you have a headboard that's outdated, but you really are not ready to replace it. What about getting some beautiful fabric? And I'm talking about maybe 2 yards and then just sewing the edges, or maybe you're using that no-sew tape. It's the hemming tape that you iron on just so that you have finished edges, and just drape that over your headboard. How cool would that be?
That's a great idea.
I mean, and I don't think you would even need to really do this, but you could add some ties. But, if you've got it up against the wall and you've got pillows on your bed, I think you wouldn't necessarily need to even add ties to the side.
So you're saying you could do this on a wood one and or a tufted one?
I think you could do it on whatever headboard. I think the criteria would be that it would need to be flat on the top. If it's a curved headboard, I don't think it's going to look right.
Yeah, unless you're
I think you
a
could
good
do it,
sewer like you.
No, you could. Yeah, you could. You could sew it so that it would fit. But so I think iron, wood, or even upholstered, but it has to be flat on the top.
That's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought about that. That's kind of like those seat covers that you had designed for the store a while back. Not the seat cover, but that chair back cover.
Yes.
Kind of like that same idea.
Same concept. That is correct.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Here's another idea of something that you could sew. how about making sweater pillows from your sweaters that you don't wear anymore, or maybe ones that have a hole in them and you can kind of work around the hole?
Are you talking about my favorite red wool sweater that somebody put in the dryer and that now will only fit a Barbie?
Oh,
Yes. Yes, I saved it for a pillow. I haven't sewn it yet, but yeah.
is
That's
that
what
the boiled wool look now? Yeah.
I guess you could call it that.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Barbie.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Barbie
yeah.
will be well dressed this year.
It was not. I don't think you're alone. That probably has happened once in a while to everyone.
Hmm.
I do have a gray sweater that happened to. But yeah, my mom just sent. My dad got an Irish sweater. I mean, he went to Ireland with some friends at a golf thing. It's kind of weird to even think my dad would buy himself a sweater because he's not like a clothes guy. But I guess he wanted to have an Irish
Was
sweater.
this Ireland? Well, of course, in
Yeah.
Ireland, you've got to buy one.
Right. And I know that he probably had them from growing up too, but they were probably little boy ones. And then my dad doesn't even like wool. Like, so he clearly never had this thing on. And, and he's never going to wear it now. So my mom sent it to my house because she's just purging herself of all her things.
Wow.
And she heard my dad. So I thought it's a big sweater. And I thought I should just but I've never done that. Made a pillow out of a sweater. I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be such a nice textural thing to have. And plus, even though my dad probably never wore it, it was his and he bought it in Ireland. So that's a really economical way to get a really cool individualized type of pillow and add a ton of texture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was probably a lot of money for you to get a pillow out of it. They probably spent a lot on that, but hey, it was a great way to reuse it and not
right.
throw
Well,
it away.
I haven't done it yet, but it's it just came, and I was like, wow, what am I going to do with this? Like, nobody's going to wear this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so pretty, though. It's absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about this? We've talked about changing out the handles and pulls in your kitchen and bathroom, but what about even doing that on a piece of furniture for a new look?
Well, that's a great idea, and don't forget, D. Lawless can be your source for all that. And I believe when this comes out, the giveaway may still be going on. So we'll put a link in the show notes if that is in fact the case. And if someone already won, congratulations.
Also, real plants. I think that's always a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to keep them alive, but they add so much to a room and pretty inexpensive usually. You can usually get them in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah. And even branches, well, the ultimate budget-friendly branch is one that you cut from your yard.
Right.
So you can cut branches, try to force them if it's that time of year, which it is now, of course. But hey, if you have branches that are fairly sturdy, like more like a woody type of branch, not one that's got a lot of green in the stem, you could just devoid it of the leaves. So cut all the leaves off, and then you can let those dry, and they can last for years. I mean, if you take care of them, and maybe if you don't leave them out all around and you wrap them up and they don't get dusty and stuff like that, you could have them for years and years and years. And that makes such a big statement in your decorating. Imagine a big vase with very tall branches coming out of it. And some of the branches are so pretty. They could, all the different types of trees. They could maybe have, maybe a smoother red look, or maybe sort of a rougher gray bark to it, and really be beautiful. So think about that, what you've got in your yard, or maybe your neighbors have some branches that you could cut.
Right. And we've got 2 previous episodes that I would also recommend that were heavy on budget ideas. Game-changing DIY updates for under $100. That's episode 310. And update your home for under $100. That was episode 238. And we'll include links in the show notes. But if you're trying to reach a particular episode, you're going to put in decoratingtipsandtricks.com/ and then the number of the episode. So they're very easy to find.
I can't let this episode go by without saying something about spray painting. I mean, I could just talk about spray painting all day long, but I'm just going to limit myself to this one idea. So, about all the baskets you probably have in your stash. or the baskets that you come upon in Goodwill and whatnot. Now, we all know not every basket is created equal. There are some fabulous baskets that you would never want to touch with a can of spray paint.
True.
But there is the bulk, I should say, of baskets that either you're going to see at estate sales, thrift stores, things like that, or ones that you might have in your stash that, something came in and you were like, oh, this is a good basket. I'll use this for something. Stash it. You've got all those. Okay. So they're probably different colors, brown, and maybe not the greatest brown, maybe not that interesting of a weave. Pick a really great color and spray paint them all the same color. Maybe 5 of them, 7 even, 3. And then you can stack them, or you can use them in different spots around your house for an interesting pop color. You could do any kind of color. I mean, obviously my favorite, matte black spray paint, but you could even get really colorful. You could do metallics, and then they will unify in the color scheme. And then whatever, maybe not so terrific browns or not such interesting weaves will be covered in this color, and they'll look really great. They'll even look great stacked up. So if they're in different sizes, you could sort of, stack them where they're kind of like not completely nesting inside of each other, but kind of angled. And that could look great on the side table or on the ground next to a chair or something like that.
Oh, I think that's a fabulous idea. In fact, while you're talking about spray paint, let's talk about paint. You can paint furniture that's the wrong color. You can paint even a fabric seat on a chair. You can paint your kitchen cabinets. You can paint your kitchen backsplash. I've seen people paint their countertops. Paint just covers a multitude of sins, and not just spray paint. That's another great option for you.
Yes. I was thinking about the fabric. There's actually fabric spray paint. So I was just thinking like a whole nother universe for me. I'm going to start spraying fabric, but I've never used it. But I've seen a couple of tutorials on it. And I think the company is called Tulip Fabric Spray Paint. Mm-hmm. If anybody's done this with Tulip or whatever other products there may be out there, could you let me know? Because I'm really interested. My daughter has a sofa up in her sort of homework hangout room, and we got it at, I think it was Crate and Barrel, I think years ago. And no matter what I do to this white / ecru slip cover, it never gets 100% clean. Like bleaching it, hot water, cold water, letting it soak, letting it sit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking of making it a color. It doesn't look dirty, but it just doesn't look fresh anymore. Mm-hmm. Have you ever painted fabric?
Oh, I have. I have a blog post on it. It was on a...
Well, I'm soliciting advice from others, and you have a blog post on it. Okay.
Well, it was a chair that had, it was going to be, I could have just changed out the fabric, but it was a little more complicated upholstery than I wanted to deal with. So yeah, I used the chalk paint and just painted the chair and the seat the same color. And it kind of had the fabric then had a tougher feel to it. It felt more like leather. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was, and there was actually some texture to the fabric. So that pattern kind of picked up through the paint. It actually had a pretty cool look. It was a great looking chair until it was an antique, and I think it was starting to go, but it continued to get use until one day the legs just gave out. So
okay, but it got used. It's not like a chair that you had over in the corner.
Oh yeah, it was being used. Oh yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look at that. Can you please link that here?
Yes, I will. And then you just, you would want to wax over it, because if you don't wax it, if it gets wet, it might come off on your clothes. So you definitely want to cover it with wax.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if it's just fabric, there might be, so what'd you say? It's a slip cover?
Yeah.
Well, you could even dye that if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, what do you have to get? Like a giant vat? I've never done that either.
Oh, just get one of those little. Well, I guess you could get one of those little kiddie swimming pools to use.
Ooh, you are so creative. Kiddie swimming pool.
Well, because if it's a slip cover, I wouldn't bother painting that. That's too big. A seat, I think that's fine, but I think you're not going to like the texture if it's an entire slip cover. Right. Yeah, I would just dye it. Because for a slipcover, it's probably going to be expensive to replace it.
It's to be so expensive. I explored it and I was like, oh my gosh. First of all, you could buy the fabric and then you have somebody make it. I'm nowhere near. I'd be struggling with this sweater pillow. I cannot make a slipcover.
Yeah, so be sure to use some gloves and a long stick so you don't have blue, or it's not going to be blue. I know it's not going to be blue.
No, not.
But you don't want your skin permanently,
right,
dyed.
Yes,
to match your slipcover.
That's so funny. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, great tips.
Mm-hmm.
Very useful. Do you have any more?
Well, I'm trying to think here. Just a couple more. One would be pillows and throws for a fresh look. Mm-hmm. We always love doing that, and that's something that's easy to do. And we always have new, interesting pillows in our store, bespokedecor.store. So check that out for our latest pillows. That's a great way to update your house without spending a lot. And also maybe changing out a rug. That's a great way to get a new look. And probably, if you want to stay on budget, I think there's a lot of trendy things that tend to be not that expensive. So people buy them, but then spending a lot of money on that, then when it goes out in a couple of years, you're going to end up having to replace it. So, kind of be mindful of if you're really on a tight budget, be mindful of how much you're spending on trendy things.
That's good tips. I love just adding a little something that's inexpensive just to change things up a little bit. It's none of these little ideas are monumental, but when you do them, they really give you a lot more bang for your buck, I should say. So chain from the hardware store. Now, if you go to your hardware store, whether it's maybe big box, but I love those smaller mommy and pop sort of ones. They usually have link chain, like on those rolls in some back aisle. Well, go back there and look and see what they have. And they might be really big, giant chains, that people use to like winch up cars and things like that. But normally they also have a lot of thinner ones, narrower ones, silver, gold, even black. You can use this hardware chain to do a lot of interesting things with your decor. Add it to a frame that's hanging on the wall, and it can just be decorative, or you could actually use to be the hanger, but you could just add it to the ends of the frame and then bring it up to a point and then affix that to the wall with a small little nail or something like that. And so it just adds a little dimension to whatever you've got hanging on the wall. You can also use it to tie back draperies. So you don't have to buy drapery tiebacks because they call them drapery tiebacks, they might be more expensive, but just use this chain. I did that in my master bath. We have the WC, so like the water closet where the toilet is not separate, which I would like, but I've gotten to make it sort of the illusion of being separate. So I did a drapery panel on a tension rod up at the top, inside the recess, so you can't see the rod, and then just kind of pulled it back and like pinched it up with some chain from the hardware store. It looks fantastic. And then you can also use chain from the hardware store in a vase. Whether you've got something that needs water in it or not, like if you did branches, that's kind of a really cool way to anchor the branches, and you can still see the chain through the glass, but you could also do it with flowers that need water. I have a tutorial on using that in my book. I think it was the January arrangement that I did that with, and it looks super cool. And it also helps heavy branches or flowers stay put. Just little things that you can do that can really jazz up your decor and make it very unique for not a lot of money. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfast, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to our crushes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I have a crush, and that is using a silk pillowcase for my pillow at night. And the reason I like the silk is because it does really, if you don't, your hair looks so much better in the morning when you wake up if you use the silk pillowcase versus a cotton or linen one. And I don't really understand exactly what's happening, except that cotton and linen tend to wick the moisture out of your hair. And they say it just kind of, it doesn't shine as much. It's more frizzy. But you know, your hair just doesn't look as good the next day. So if you are wanting to maybe skip washing your hair one day, you're going to be able to get away with it a lot better if you have a silk pillowcase. And I've also heard people talk about getting the wrinkles in their face when they're, from the pillow, and that the silk pillows don't do that.
Wow. So do you have a designated pillow that just has that? So that's the pillow that you sleep on. Do you leave that on your bed all the time?
Well, I mean, I put it up when I make my bed, but yeah, I have my own particular pillow. And then I have silk pillowcases. I have satin ones, but then I'm just changing it out all the time to wash it. So I have some backup ones.
So what's the difference? So is the silk's better than the satin? Because I've heard satin, but
well, I'm not seeing a difference. I mean, I think some people swear by the silk versus the satin, but I think either one would work. I have both. The difference with the silk is, though, you're going to have to be a little more careful about washing it. That's going to have to be washed on delicate if you wash it in the washing machine, and then you really can't use the dryer. So that's going to need to be hung to dry. If you don't,
with your red wool sweater.
Yeah, so that's going to tear. Well, I mean, it's silk. Just think about, I mean, it's like anything else silk. It's really not meant to be machine washed, but I feel like, well, it's a pillowcase. I'm not wearing it out for, it's an evening gown, so I'm not so worried about it. But yeah, but if you're concerned about that, you can always go with the satin instead. But I know my mother-in-law only slept on a satin pillowcase, and it was back in the day. I thought, I just thought I didn't really believe that really did make a difference until I started using one, and that's when I realized, okay, there's a reason she slept on this pillowcase. Yeah. Definitely makes a
I'm
difference.
going to try that. I've heard that for so many years. And yeah, the same thing, like whatever. And then you get your pillow cases and they come with your sheets or whatever. So you just buy them separately. What would you suggest?
Well, I'm going to include a link.
Okay, good.
To some that I have purchased that I like.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, my crush for today is a beauty product. I don't think I've done a beauty product before.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Dr. Jart, Jart, Premium Beauty Balm SPF 45. I got a little sample of this and I took it with me when we went on a weekend trip not too long ago. You know, because I always just like take all my little sample sizes and make do with those. Oh my gosh. I loved it. It's fantastic. It goes on beautifully. It definitely makes your skin look better. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't look greasy. It doesn't start to sort of, slide away as the day goes on. I would highly recommend it. So I'm going to get myself a normal size one because I used up the little tiny one. When you go to Sephora and you buy things or you buy things online from Sephora, they oftentimes give you the little samples and that's where I got it.
Oh, great idea.
Yes. So it's Dr. Jart and it also has the SPF 45 in it, which everybody should be wearing their SPF at least 30 all the time during the day. And I don't really ever use foundation or anything like this. So this is kind of like moisturizer plus, it's almost like I would say a tinted moisturizer in a sense, because it's not a foundation. I don't really do that. So very, very nice. I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing that one. I'm going to have to check that one out.
Wait, we have one more thing.
Oh, stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not really a listener question. It's a listener tip, which we love too. So, and this is from Lisa B., one of our pals. Lisa has given us a tip on a no curl carpet, what do I even call this product? I guess it's called Never Curl Best V-Shaped Design to Instantly Stop Rug Corner Curling.
Oh, that is such a problem.
A catchy name, right? And I have to say, I love my rugs from Overstock.com. I love them because they're very pretty. I know they're not very high quality, but they get a lot of traffic. I have 3 dogs now. Accidents happen, let's just say. They look good. They're not going to last me a lifetime. But the one thing that I don't like about them is on occasion, out of no place, the end starts to curl up. So this was just a fantastic thing that Lisa shared.
But I think that's any rug. I mean, I have some wool rugs from Overstock. I don't really think that they're less quality than other wool rugs.
Mine's not even wool, I don't think. Mine's some sort of wool.
Well, wow. So this how does it work? Do you know?
Well, it's safe for wood floors, for indoor and outdoor rugs. It's not an anti-slip pad, so that's not what it is. So it's really just to hold the corners down. So Lisa says, her tip is it's something so simple that she bought on Amazon. She has many area rugs, which we know because we were honored to do a consult with her house. And I think we told her to get another one.
Yes. Sounds familiar. Yep.
And they have hardwood floors throughout the first floor. And she says, same thing. I had 2 rugs that no matter what I did, the 2 corners would just curl up. So she was putting books on them. I was doing that too. She thought about tape, but she was worried about damaging the floor. And she bought these items from Amazon. And they have tape and you stick it to the corner of the rug and it's just heavy enough like a magnet, but not a magnet. So it weighs it down. So you're not sticking it to the floor. You're sticking it to the bottom of the rug and then the weight of it is holding it down.
I love it.
Right.
Okay. This
and
sounds,
she has
I need this.
Yes, I do too. And so maybe other people do. So we'll put the link. Lisa, thank you so much. Really, honestly, I couldn't believe when this came through because I think when I got this email, I had your book, my book, and I think a buddy
is that what my book is? Is that what my book is being used for?
It's very useful. In the corner on the rug. She says,
well, as long as the dogs don't think it's a place to.
No, they don't. They're not interested. No.
Okay, good.
I think I caught Edith reading your book, but no, she wasn't doing a thing.
She's smart.
She is the smart one. Lisa says, for whatever reason, make sure they're being shipped from the USA, because if they are not the same product.
Oh, good
point,
because not everything on Amazon is the same.
Right. And a lot of, so something's, I think what happens is something is successful on Amazon, and then others try to sort of emulate it, copy it, and it might be coming from someplace else. So it's not the original. You want the OG, never curl, best V-shaped design, rug pad, rug corner curling something or other. They need to get a better name. First of all, it's too long. But this was sold by, because she sent me the actual screenshot of what she got, sold by iPremio. So I, like iTunes, a small I, Premio, Primio USA.
Okay. Well, and we'll include the links.
So that's the company you want to look for.
Okay.
So that's a great tip. That's useful.
Fantastic. I love this one.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yes, thanks, Lisa. And this is what we love. We love getting your questions and we love getting your tips. So whichever you're sending, please email us, send us your pictures. We love seeing the pictures. We love hearing from you. Our email is decoratingtipsandtricks@gmail.com. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We enjoy it so much. And come back again. Remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.